really mean it. It's not like something is horrible and we say no love is lost. No, things are wonderful and no love is lost. So I would encourage everyone, as I always have, be willing to have those conversations because you know your place in that and where you stand. You don't owe them your beliefs.
I agree. That's great. Go ahead.
Now, as I think everyone in our stream here would gladly agree, the loyalty is more important than the belief.
Yep.
To some loyalty to someone who is treating you well.
If
someone is not treating you well, I don't know how long you should stay loyal, because they obviously have given that up to some degree.
Yeah, and
my cousin Paul.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
No,
you're
good.
No, I was gonna say my cousin Paula. Like I said, I'm too lazy. There's a picture over there. Paula comes up to here on me. She still, to this day, is my bodyguard. And I remember when, buddy, get your ass over here. When I was going through my divorce, and one of the first people I called was my cousin Paula. And I was like, I can't believe what just happened. And she just walked out the door. She's not coming back. Paula's first reaction was quite literally, we're going to ride on that bitch. Now, if you're not from the South, you're just like, what does that mean? If you ever hear a Southern person say, we're going to ride on that fucker, let's just say there's bad news. Bad things are going to happen. That kind of loyalty, you can't buy. That kind of loyalty, you cannot manufacture. And that kind of loyalty, it's infinitely more important than sitting here wasting what time me and Paula have left debating whether her beliefs are right or mine are right. I've got, after my uncle passed, my aunt married some other dude, and I got some news that, let's just say, did not sit well with me. And when my mom called and told me what had happened, I remember the exact thing I said, and that is, I'll see him in 8 hours. I was getting in my truck. I was hitting I-10, and I didn't care. I just didn't care. And my mom, I probably got maybe 20 some odd miles out of my house before my mom talked me down. But I was like, I'll see him in 8 hours. This problem's going to get solved before sunrise.
Somebody, Aunt Jer said the earrings are getting taken out.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry. What did you say? I'm sorry, this bitch is...
Yeah, the rings. Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah.
But again, that is more important than spending whatever time I have left with my aunt.
Yeah.
Debating the cosmological argument.
I totally agree.
Argument. Well, Aunt Gilbert, objective morality happened long before Jesus. It's like, why?
And listen to me, I'm sick of it. I'm taking the gloves off.
I would much rather. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm taking the gloves off.
Yeah. The next time I'm in my aunt's house, it's going to be the same shit. She's going to look at me, and in her mind, she's going to say, you are too skinny. Then she's going to try to feed me until I die.
Right.
I don't know how many more of those moments I have left.
Exactly.
And I'm not going to waste that time.
Yeah.
They're not going to waste their time. So, yeah.
I totally agree, because for me, you got to know who you can have the conversation with and who you can't. And absolutely. I agree with my one black friend. It's just about being willing to have the conversation. Now, I got some people in my life you can't not have the conversation with because they turn everything into the conversation. So to me, that's on their particular flavor of Christianity. And all I am is, comfortable with my position and where I stand on it. Like, oh, if you want to talk about it, we could talk about it. Now, there are other people who, I don't even have the conversation with, or a lot of times, for instance, like when I'm with, say like the people where I play, drums at the church, I don't have the conversation with them because it's not a battle I'm willing to have, with the people I got to deal with week in and week out, so it's more conversation I'm only willing to have with my friends, But definitely willing to have it in the right context. But yeah, so I agree with you. So the main thing with Otangelo is that's how I see Otangelo now. Otangelo is a jobber, right? He's this person who's sitting on this bullshit. Nobody really likes him.
Oh yeah.
You know, and we ask ourselves, you know, when we see him, how hard does he want to get spanked today? And so then he's somebody that, in pro wrestling terms, you know, he just gets fed to somebody you're trying to. You know, it's like on one side you got a star like Uncle Bobby. On the other side you got somebody like Otangelo, who's just like the local, you know, person to get tossed around. You know, you body slam him for a few minutes, and get on with it, because unlike some of the people who were sitting on some bullshit but at least have a much bigger platform, it's not even really worth working with him in any sort of meaningful way, because it just isn't. And yeah, I now, we don't think he's I don't think he's a good faith actor. Whether or not he believes is nonsense, I don't even care anymore. He's just a jerk, right? He's somebody who we only know because he is out here to essentially play the YouTube game and antagonize us day in and day out.
But the thing is about somebody like him, there was a troll when I first became an atheist here in Austin that would always call into the atheist experience. Mark, Matt, Matthew, I'm trying to remember all the names he went by. And eventually you realize this was an act. The dangerous thing about the act is he was quoting actual Christianity. And he was more to the point.
Mark from the Austin Stone Church.
That one. Exactly.
Boom.
Exactly.
We out here.
I know the people at the Austin Stone. Yes, he ended up being an atheist who was acting just to get the attention. The sad part is he quoted word for fucking word the Austin Stone. And so I guess my point is, even if Otangelo is a bad faith actor, I mean, I even did it with Turk yesterday. Someone challenged his friend, whoever that, I can't remember who it was. Well, I found an error in your inerrant book. And the response was, and that's Christianity. And whether an actor says it or a high-tiered Christian apologetics person says it, that's who they are. And with Otangelo, you can say that he's a bad faith actor, he's a troll, but he says the exact same shit that the big dogs say.
Yeah. Right.
Actually, it's just like, well, you said your God is real. You need to prove it. Actually, no, I don't. Okay, pastors say that, apologists say that.
Your aunt says that.
Every flavor of Christian says what Otangelo may be acting.
Right.
And so to brush him off as kind of irrelevant, bad faith actor, small fries, I disagree.
Interesting.
Because whether it's coming from a Turk or an Otangelo. I remember I've gone after Turk online before, and only to have his sycophants come after me,
right,
and say he's a well-respected, academician. He's all this and all that and everything else. And I'm like, he literally just asked, "How do you know that?" 27 times.
I'm sorry, it's hilarious.
And it's easy to dismiss that stupidity, but again, that's what they think. Otangelo, we just dismiss as a troll, but Turk's got a PhD and he's a respected academician. They say the same shit.
Yes. I want to bring up a question I asked on the last broadcast here. I've gone on Twitter and I've asked this of several people, and if I understood Twitter, I could read you Sean McDowell's response which began with something like, I'm not sure I understand the question, but I don't know what person could misunderstand this question. If we had all the technology and knowledge that we have today, but no religion, how could we know that there was a God? I think that's probably the best question I've asked in my life, even better than why when I was a child. Because if I just take religion out of the picture and we have everything else, right? It's all, so many things that are possible are very impressive.
Right.
What do we need God for?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
if we don't have answers to a question, forgive me.
No. You're...
If we don't have answers to a question, we can look at all we've been able to put together over the centuries. Like, well, we'll likely know someday, and if we don't, there's still all these other things we're capable of.
Yes. I was just thinking that that's kind of maybe your version or of the sort of the Hitchens challenge, right? And I really think it's great as we're out here that some of us sort of develop, I think like pro wrestling, your signature moves, your signature lines, because that's part of the show, right? When people come to the show, they want to say, if you smell what the Rock is cooking, and then they want to see the people's elbow and the rock bottom. And so Tux has his, the Bible isn't evil, so evil everybody thinks that it's good. And James Apperson can tell Christians that Christian indoctrination is child abuse, and Lena can tell people that they're fascist or social or communist, whatever, that they're fascist mostly. So it's good to have their things, and I think that that's a great one. What can they offer us that would suggest that we'd be following these religions if we started today, right? Because I think that that's who we are. Whereas we're sort of a species who this type of belief has become baked into the potential of our cognition and our social structures. And so if you could think of it as like replaying the tape of life, so to speak, you're replaying the tape of social evolution, but starting in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you get there.
I don't. I'd love to get some answers to this question. I must have sent this to 7 Christian apologists. McDowell's the only one who answered, and like I said, I don't know how to find his answer. But I think to some degree, Sean McDowell is. I think he can't admit that he's an atheist because he's got some really great answers as a Christian.
Right.
There's like a step he can't publicly take. I really do feel that way about him. But of course, I don't watch everything he does. I don't know all of his thoughts. But sometimes when I see him, giving an interview or commenting on something, that's sort of the vibe I get. GT Punk has asked what my Twitter handle is.
Yeah, I was going to point that out. I'll
type it in. It's okay. Go ahead, Pocket Lock.
No, I was going to say is that Cameron Bennett had said that Otangelo doesn't seem to understand that his method of evangelism sucks. That's all I wanted to say. Because I think,
of them do.
Yeah, they don't realize that. They don't realize, and I wanted to tell this I'll tell it to Otangelo's face. Look, Otangelo, if you really think you're fighting for Jesus, and if your goal is to do that, if you want to get more people to believe in Jesus, you should never appear on YouTube again. You should delete your YouTube. Delete your channel. That's the best thing a lot of these apologists could do. If they really wanted to help their faith, delete your channel.
But they don't. It took my dumbass a long time to realize they don't do this for us. They do this for their own kind.
Yes.
If I'm sitting here, hold on. Now it's disgusting. Hold on. Again, it's like, how many times do you need to hear that atheism is not a religion?
Exactly.
Right? But again, if you had a 5th grader who had these kind of problems dealing with such simple topics, you would honestly, you would get your child tested for all kinds of learning disabilities. You would. So it just gets to a point where it's like, they're not doing this to convert us. They're doing it to make people who need an affirmation feel good about themselves.
I think of it as they it's really great to listen to the sermons and stuff because you hear how they talk amongst themselves when they're in the shelter of, oh, it's only us in here. Similar to a Trump rally. But I think now there's this public awareness, social media, YouTube, whatever, where they know that outside of church on Sunday, they no longer can live in that bubble. And so to your point, it's almost like they're looking for who are the pastors of Christian life outside the church. And that's where they've got to come into contact with the counter-apologists and the other religions and all this type of stuff. And then that's where they need the apologetics to do essentially this sort of give them the feeling like they know how to win these arguments or whatever. I want to jump to, the Herschel Walker stuff to make sure we have plenty of time to jump into that. But I want to make sure my one black friend has an opportunity to talk about anything we've been discussing and also maybe offer his thoughts on Otangelo.
Well, I like to hear Otangelo's voice. He does sound a bit like Marvin the Martian. That is
Kermit the Frog to me.
I do not think he sounds like Kermit the Frog. However, there is something that Pocket Locker misses. No, I'm kidding. I just feel that's something he would say. There's something.
So
I tend to find Otangelo very entertaining. I think to some degree he's necessary. I think he gives us a window into someone who is dogmatic about their beliefs. Like, this is what I must believe. It's part of his day. It's part of his sanity. It's part of his identity.
Right.
And that's useful in that he's teaching us how to deal with individuals who are like him. And maybe one day Otangelo will say something that is it'll allow us to unlock his mind to a degree in a completely different way that gives him what he needs, right, to finally disconnect from that belief. I had it in reading the Bible, trying to be objective, and seeing that, I do not philosophically agree with the behavior of the God of the Bible. And if this was a person that I actually knew and they behaved this way, we could not be friends. I could not associate myself with someone of such low character.
Right.
Billions love him because they don't know him.
Oh, so I was
about him.
There was one thing that we moved on from that David Pakman video, but there was one thing that came up in that video because remember we were talking about how they were getting the Trump support from their pastors and they were at the Christian universities and there was Trump rallies and Trump posters everywhere. One of the things that they talked about was a particular guy who was struggling with the Trump stuff because he didn't know what to do, but he went to his pastor, and his pastor basically said, well, we got to do this for the judges and all of this stuff. So he goes along, he votes for Trump, and then, he starts to question Trump's character, and he has a conversation at work with somebody who, because this guy is such a sincere Christian or whatever, his coworker says to him, well, I don't know why I would want to be a Christian if it means supporting someone like this. And that is part of how he fell out of love with Trump, right? It was like, holy crap, people. And this is what I think the power of some of this gentle shame and confrontation with some of our friends and family has the ability to influence them, right? Because it's coming from a source they care about, somebody they know, love, and respect, saying, hey, if this is your guy, this guy's not really that impressive to me. I don't know if I could go with that. Like we say, this is your God. He's got a funny way of forgiving people. So I think that was an important thing that I wanted to touch on. But I think Otangelo is that to me. Otangelo, if this is how you have to be to defend Jesus, if you got to run around trolling and antagonizing people who just say, hey, we don't believe you, can you give us some evidence? And then you can't give us evidence, and instead you just run around saying, well, you can't demonstrate evolution, but we can. Oh, well, you haven't figured out abiogenesis. Yeah, we've got a bunch of competing theories that work. Like, it's just you just have to be the worst. And so again, it's like, it's a pretty awful brand of evangelism to me.
I'll tell a story. I'll share a story. So, as a kid, I grew up in a housing project. I had this friend who was very protective of me, looked out for me. Quite a few people did, but this one guy in particular, if anybody messes with you, they have to mess with me too.
Right.
That kind of thing. Well, he got arrested. And I just was in complete disbelief, as were many other people, of what he got arrested for. He got arrested because he essentially killed all but one person in a family. He raped the mother. I don't know if he raped more than just the mother. I don't know if he raped one of the daughters. But the one who lived, the child who lived, she had hid herself in a closet.
Wow.
And he never looked in that closet.
Wow.
So if I remember right, there's 4 people in that house that died at the hands of my friend, right? My friend who would only harm someone, in my mind,
right,
who harmed me.
Wow.
He did it. And I couldn't believe it. Probably 20 years later, I'm talking to somebody from my hometown, and this comes up. He goes, and I say, I just don't believe that he did it. Like, this was a national news story. I don't believe that he did it. And he goes, I investigated that case. You better believe he did it. This cop went on to tell me about other things that my friend had did that were just as heinous as that.
Wow.
And I'm listening, and I am in disbelief. I spent more than 20 years defending my friend, thinking there's no way. He
could have done something like this.
Not him. And yet he had done things that were every bit as bad as that. And he had admitted them. He didn't admit to that one, but he admitted to other things.
Right.
So we are like that cop. We've actually, and it's not just what I believe about my friend. That cop investigated. He dug into it. He got facts. All I knew was that this was someone that I appreciated and liked. Right? I could call him a friend.
That's what I felt with when I started actually dealing with Kent Hovind's fans, right? Was Kent Hovind's fans described Kent Hovind the way I think a lot of my fans would describe me. And I mean that in the positive sense. He's somebody I watch every single day. We count on him to be with us day in and day out. Oh, he isn't always debating on atheist or, crapping on evolution. A lot of times he's just reading scripture or, talking about something that inspires him, or he's making a fun video, or, so they see. Right. And then they say the same things we all say, right? We call our bar Cheers, right? And we watch Cheers together. Why? Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, right? That's the vibe you got, the room we're in right now and Gather. That's the inspiration for it. He said the same thing, right? Over this time of watching Kent Hovind day in and day out with the same people, you get to know other people in the chat, other people in the community. So now they're there just as much to hang out and see each other and spend time together as they are to support Kent's content creation. So it's like if you stripped away the names, right, and you said, oh, you're in the cult of the flying man, you like Pocket Locker 86, you watch him every day, tell us what that's like. And you went to this other person and you said, oh, you like Kent Hovind from his fucking Dino Adventureland compound, and you watch him every day, tell us what that's like. If you stripped off the identifying words and the names at the top, you'd get very similar experiences. And that's just something to think about, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So I think what you're identifying is a principle, and this principle can be applied to different people that we know or think we know, or God, that sort of thing. Maybe we can call it the principle of familiarity, and that has a great strength to it. And I think until a person realizes their own ignorance, that's pretty powerful. Like me, I'll defend, like Kent Hovind fans, I'll defend because I don't know any better.
Right? Yeah, yeah.
But once I know better, I have a good enough mind that I can make a determination. I see it with people who are avid Trump supporters who think the man can do no wrong. And it doesn't matter how many examples they get, right? The examples aren't their personal experience. They're being told the example without internalizing, how should I view this?
Right.
It's that person is an opponent. They are from the outside.
Right.
And they're threatening Trump just like he said.
They would,
they're attacking him just like he said.
Yeah.
Instead of, is this true?
Exactly. So
did he actually do this? Did he actually not pay contractors? Did he actually steal money? Did he actually tell people they couldn't deny people of color a place in Trump Tower when they could afford it? Did he actually do these things? Did he actually get money from Russia? Did he actually
I think James Apperson is here. I could hear the keyboard. I heard the keyboard. I looked over. My man James Apperson is in the house. It's hard to get James in here, but I got all his favorite people here, so.
Yeah, you lured me in with all these wonderful people.
Nah, James, I still feel bad about what happened the other day on your channel, man. And
you and I should talk about it, like, privately for a while. And
sure,
just, like,
sure.
Build peace and understanding and all that.
Yeah. But I always want people to know it wasn't a thing with me and you, right? It was unfortunate thing that happened on your channel, but my thing is I wanted to get you back here and gather, and we've been just excited to spend time with you. So
so I mean, I don't want to sidetrack the conversation. I'll say I wasn't entirely fair to you, and I don't know if that's your position right now or not, but I wasn't. But man, it was a difficult position to be in, and we should talk about it. Like, I don't want to sidetrack your discussion.
No, it's fine. It's actually fine to talk about it. It's okay. It's no big deal. It's not a big deal. But yeah, no, I agree with you, and no, I don't take it. I don't think there is necessarily a fair way to do those type of situations, and it is flyby, and you've got to deal in good faith. You've got to put yourself in the broadcaster's shoes and say, there's no playbook or right or wrong way to handle that. And I'd say just don't worry about it. Fortunately, I'm happy to use resiliency as a resource when it's with my friends, right?
Right.
I don't like being told, hey, Jay, this person that you don't have a relationship is putting you in a bad situation and you should just take it because you're strong enough to. And I'm like, yeah, but no. So it's no harm, no foul, right? The thing for me that was frustrating was we've worked hard to build this community, and then we've worked hard to get that community building to progress to, for instance, the things we've been doing lately in Gather. Everybody's really been excited about that. And I haven't done a good enough job of figuring out how you communicate about it on stream and dealing with different channels and, how to go about, walking audiences through this type of stuff and all of that. So, like I always say, we're learning how to build the ship while we're flying it. Exactly. And then on top of that, we get support from the community and stuff like that, and that puts kind of rocket boosters on it. And so now you're way out in orbit, and you still don't know how to build the damn rocket, right?
Sure.
And so that was just exciting because we want this to be a space where we're co-streaming, kind of like we are doing now, where we're live on Gin and Truth's YouTube, Robert Reed's Twitter, my One Black Friend's YouTube, and his I think Twitter as well. And then we're also on Hot Program and Pocket Locker 86 on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook, right? So
Wow.
that's the power of Restream, right? And so we want James Apperson to be, you know, just as much a part of that as we are. And so we've just got to figure out how to get your audience aware of that, and then different things. And there's a lot of ways to do these things. So
We have a powerful cumulative
cumulative case, you know, a lot of channels. So, but no, I think, for instance, like I really built this, not this particular room. I built the speakeasy, for instance, with you in mind, right? It's the Cheers bar. We named it Cheers. It's set up to be a space where you can always take the stage or hold down the spotlight towel behind the bar. And so, you know, it could very much be the case that if I'm up in the office during the day and you want to co-stream and have, you know, everybody just come in, you could do like you did the other day where you come in and just go live from that room. But you could also just say, hey, guys, I'm going to go to the speakeasy, and everybody could decide, hey, we're going to go check out what James is doing, and then there won't be sort of the cross-streaming, right? So we have all these options, right? We have all this freedom to do it however we want. We just got to talk about it and, you know, like you said, get a game plan.
It's all a work in progress. All
a
of it,
work
always.
in progress, and just happy to let people know it's not personal. And I said this even when I commentated on it. It was just more of, I wanted to go back and look at it to see what I could have done differently, what I could have done better. I normally don't care if I get in a fight with somebody on a YouTube channel, but you know, given that it was your channel, I wanted to see what I could have done differently. And there was certainly plenty there. And it was a weird situation because I didn't even plan to be on your channel that day, right? So much as it was we were trying to do the cross streaming to get the pipes worked out because we didn't have that quite set up ahead of time. So
you know, we live, we learn, we grow together instead of growing apart. We're fine.
Yeah, absolutely. But I also just want to say overall, man, you've been fucking crushing it, dude. We're all huge fans. I'm excited to talk to you about Gather and the other things we got going on because I think it's a way to get more support for smaller content creators, especially people like you who are more focused on community building than, you know, trying to grind at the YouTube algorithm.
I don't care about the algorithm. No, I do wish I had the kind of energy that Gin and Truth has. I wish I could just... I just wish I could deliver in that way. I just can't.
And I realized something too about the mental health, and it's something I even had to explain to my club. We're people, and we're live, and you know I'm live a lot, right? Every day, sometimes many hours throughout the day, as you guys know. If you say some fucked up shit to me, or you terrorize my channel in the middle of a stream, it really does affect me. I'm not gonna lie. I'm bipolar. Like I don't complain about too much because I ask for it. I cut promos. I call people out. I'm a professional word wrestler, right? Which means I'm literally out here telling people come and fight me. So I can't. I can't complain when somebody throws a punch at me, but I'm still a person, right? Go ahead.
So we all have our boundaries, right? And you've made yours known. Like these things are off limit. Don't make jokes about these things. Don't attack me on these things, right? Like don't go after the people that I care about. Don't like spread racist bullshit or sexist bullshit on my channel. Things like that. But so here's where the boundaries are. Anywhere inside these boundaries, take all the shots you want to. You've been pretty clear about that.
Yeah. It's even why I got set off. People don't realize that's why I got set off with LPP and Bible Research Tools, which is kind of what gave me a lot of attention was the Gustick Gibbon video about that. That's how a lot of people find me. But what people didn't see that night, right, talk about selective editing and, things just get cut and then you don't get the full context. That's what set me off that night. We had been through LPP's channel a bunch of times. That was probably the fourth or fifth night we had gone to LPP's channel. And most of it was unremarkable because even though we disagreed and he'd be a jackass to us, that's just how he is. And we would just laugh it off and keep having the conversation. But what set me off was when they finally challenged me and I finally mentioned my grad experience and then they mentioned Rich Lenski, and then they called him a failure and shit like that. That was like, oh yeah, now I'm going to cut you because you're talking about the person who literally made sure I didn't miss a meal for the last decade.
Yeah, come after me, don't come after my people.
Right, exactly. That was like, oh no. Now I'm gonna shut you down. Right, and of course, if Rich saw that, he would be like, hey Jay, you know how often I get attacked by creationists? Yeah, way more frequently than you for like the last 50 years. So get over it. Like, I don't need you to defend me like that, right? And it'd be like, I know you don't, but I need to defend you like that. Ain't got shit to do with you, right? You know what I mean? It's just, that's how love is, right? So yeah, I appreciate that. Definitely wanted to talk about that. But I say that to say that you're the same way, where on your channel you're trying to keep it peaceful, sexy, and vibrant, good mood, acknowledging your chat, interactive with your friends, and you don't want to have something happen on your channel that's going to put you in a bad mood and then essentially make you not enjoy your own stream, right? Because now you don't want to be live. Now you don't want to stay on air. Now you're sidetracked. Now your energy's thrown off. And that really does affect your ability to continue that broadcast right now. If Gin and Truth said, Jay, I secretly hate working with you. I'm walking out of here. I'm never going to do this again. And my one black friend said, yeah, I've been meaning to tell you, you're the worst, right? And y'all are like, so Jay, we're doing live streams tonight. I'd be like, nope, show's over, right? Because I got to go off air and fucking pick myself up, right?
I think it could happen the other way around, too. Let's say, for example, Gin and Truth is letting people know they're sitting on some bullshit, and then somebody wanted to come up and give him a hug. He'd be like, stop it, I'm trying to be angry right now. Like, you don't want people ruining your groove, man. Am I right? Am I wrong?
I said this about getting locked up in Michigan. I am trying to be a law-abiding citizen in the state of Michigan. And it is more so than when I lived in Pennsylvania and lived in New Jersey. Yes, I've been arrested in all 3 states I've lived in. I'm that type of bad dude. I play a heel for a reason.
Right.
But it's like when I got locked up in Michigan, from the cop that pulled me over because there was an APB out for me, to the judge, to the corrections officers, to the people that had to, escort me in handcuffs in an ambulance to an emergency room just so I could get my meds because my roommate fucked up bringing it to me, to my probation officer, to the state probation system that let me smoke weed even though I was on probation so I could piss hot every time. It was fine. Everybody was way too nice to me. And to your point, James, I'm going through hell and high water, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to be angry. I need to be angry. I need to be trying to survive out here. And y'all making me say too much and be too nice into the legal system. And it's like, no, y'all got the game fucked up. In New Jersey, on the East Coast, there's a healthy animosity between defendants and the people in the system. There's a healthy, we don't fuck with y'all don't fuck with us, y'all here to do your job. It isn't disrespect, we're trying to riot every day, but it's don't try to hand me milk and cookies, man. I'm locked up right now. Right? Like, you don't fingerprint me and ask for my life story and tell me, you hope everything works out for me and, it's okay. And I'm not. No, man. Right? I'm trying to be angry right now. So yeah, man, it fucks up the game. You can't fuck up the law in Michigan because the people will be nice to you and then you won't be able to have that animosity. It just fucks with your head.
Sure, agree 100%. What's your guys' thoughts on that, my one black friend, and Cajun with the bad limp?
Hit me. Excuse me. I'm sorry, I'm choking.
So you're
on
trying to be, you get set off by something, right? And to this point of dealing with people who set you off about certain things, you're trying to be angry, and then sometimes they're trying to love on you in the middle of that, and you need that. Like you're like, no, I'm trying to rage right now. Yeah, that's not the time.
I don't care what the situation is. Everyone is entitled to their emotional state. Mm-hmm. If you slap me across the face at 3:00, then at 3:15 you're like, hey, I'm totally sorry. Let's go grab some drinks. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck you.
Right.
Right? Like, well, no, you don't understand. That was 15 minutes ago, and I apologize. It's like, yeah, but I'm still sitting over here mad as fuck.
Right.
So we are all entitled to our emotions.
Yes.
And if someone fucks you over, and you're like, you know what? No, I'm not ready to make nice right now. And even if you apologize, apology does not equal acceptance. You fucked up. You can offer your apology, but I'm under no obligation to say, okay, I accept it, and now we're on good terms. It is well within my rights to say, you know what? Fuck you. We're done.
Yeah.
We are done. Yeah, but I apologize. No, I heard you. Mm-hmm. I'm acknowledging the words that came out of your mouth, but your error was so severe that no, I don't have to accept. And it doesn't make you a bad person for saying.
Absolutely.
You're just getting cut out because what you did was so severe that I'm not willing to give you a second chance.
Yeah.
You can piss on my mother's headstone and say, I'm sorry, can't we still be friends? You'll be saying it through a jaw that's wired shut because I'm going to But no, we're not friends anymore. Right. That's too big of a fuck up.
Yeah.
I'm under no obligation. None of us are under any obligation to not feel the emotions.
And to be honest, that forgiveness hurts. And I joke about the system, but it really does make you want to be a better person, because what happens is the people are doing their job. They're being professional. They're being kind. They're not dehumanizing you. And then you recognize, oh, I put myself in the situation. And I'm the reason I'm here. And these people, what they're actually doing to you is they're basically they're treating you as kind as you can be treated in this situation, such that you actually don't have that animosity towards the people that are making you have this experience. And then you really do reflect on your own shit, right? Because you're not sitting there raging out at, well, them damn guards are so mean, and the judge is an asshole who hates me, and right? Because on the East Coast, that's how everybody takes it. Everybody's story is the system screwed them over. When you remove that, people are like, God damn, I got to do better because I just can't be up here like this. And then when you lose, like everybody has those abusive exes that. Getting them out of our lives was the best thing that could ever happen to us. I always say about my last serious ex, she broke my heart, and it was the nicest thing anybody's ever done for me. She was that terrible. But there have been other people where I let a good one get away, right? And the times where I've let a good one get away because I did some fucked up shit, and that person has either forgiven me and just said, hey, you fucked up and we ain't ever going to be cool again, but I do forgive you. Or God forbid, they've forgiven me and we've been friends afterwards and patched it on up, but they've never crossed that line again. That hurts you more than anything. Right? Because like you said, they don't owe you that forgiveness. They don't owe you that friendship. And so then when they're strong enough to give it to you, you already knew you lost a good woman, but this is the confirmation from hell that you lost a good woman because she's big enough to forgive you. And you're like, God damn it, I'm dealing with some nightmares now, and I could have been laying up with you with this stability. I done really messed up. All right, well, we got to get into this Herschel Walker, though. But go ahead.
Herschel, let's do it.
I want to
go ahead, my friend.
If you don't mind.
Yeah, of course.
I'm a heart patient, so I have to stay pretty chill. It's just a fact. And paired with that, I'm used to people doing what I ask them to. I really am. And when someone doesn't, I find it perplexing because I can take a long time to make a decision. I've said this on the program before. I can take a long time to make a decision. Why? Because it's aggravating to me when people keep changing their minds, because I'm like, you should just pick something. And there have been times where people who wronged me have apologized to me. And I'm not one of those people that won't say, I told you so. No, I'll say that. I just may not use those exact words. Sure. I'll find another way to say, I told you so, and let's move on. You know, my judgment can be trusted in the situation.
Right.
We can trust my judgment. But paired with that, I'll let people know I respected your opinion. I respected your ideas, your thoughts. Right. I just didn't think it was the best way.
Absolutely.
And I'm happy to compromise. I think that helps everyone's sanity. I think that helps everyone's, I'd say, need to be a part of the process. In high school, we had this life skills class, and I don't know if this is still taught today, but my teacher was Jan Lip. I can see her face now in my mind when I think about her. She would teach us this thing she called an ILAC. I don't know if she invented this or someone else did, but it stands for I am lovable and capable. And if someone says or does something that violates your way to feel lovable and capable, intentional or not, she would say, tell that person you hurt my ILAC. And I'm thinking, I will only tell the people I know took this class that they hurt my ILAC. And to this day, right, this is 30 years later, I still have friends that'll say, you hurt my ILAC, or that person hurt my ILAC, because it's funny to us. Like we mock it, and yet we know it is so useful. What she taught. If we don't even use her words. Yeah, if we don't even use Jan Lip's words to define what has happened, we still know she's right. We still know she gave us a tool that enables us to don't just take that. Don't just feel that. Come back at that person and correct them. I'll even go a step further. Instruct them. This is what you should have said to preserve your dignity in the situation, or preserve mine.
Yes.
You know, it's not important that someone stand there and make fun of you. What does that produce?
Right.
How does that benefit you if someone is ragging on you?
It doesn't.
Maybe you I heard the term quiet shame or quiet shaming.
Oh, it's interesting.
I don't think I've heard that term before.
Me either.
I don't know that that's what's needed. You know, just like when I'm doing my impression of Otangelo, I try not to say anything.
Well, it could be the difference between what they say calling out and calling in, right? And so I think if it's calling in, that's kind of interesting. And something I've done that might be considered quiet shaming, and I've taken this Stephen tack recently with my family and some other people I knew who were deconverting or needed to be pushed in that direction. I sometimes just send them stuff. I try to send them good videos. I've recently sent people in my family a podcast by James Apperson.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I shared your stream yesterday. Why you're not a Christian? I shared that with my mom, and I told her to watch it with her husband. Because I thought it was just such a well-toned, plain-spoken discussion by you and your guest, your friend, and also the way you were interacting with the chat of people just, not diving into the apologetics, not diving into the bullshit, not diving into the arguments, just sort of straight up, hey, I figured out this wasn't true. Hey, I realized this wasn't the honest way to go about it, And it was just such a great tone that I thought it offered our own sort of version of, what people get from genetically modified skeptic and rationality rules, those sort of Christian forward, friendly voices that are a gentle landing or exposure to atheism, right? And I think that's what me and my one black friend kind of wanted Hot Program to be, right? There's not a lot of diversity in those type of channels. And we also realize that a lot of times we're antagonistic. So this really started as the idea of when we deal with people that we disagree with, let's just have a place where we can understand them. That's why people get that's why most of our fans enjoy our show, but some people it's a little weird for them because it's like, wait, you guys aren't, tearing down people's arguments. And if somebody tells you what they believe and why they believe it, you just kind of say, oh, okay, thank you. And then you move on to something else. And the people are like, what's up with that? And we're like, yeah, we're counter-apologetic. We might see ourselves as counter-apologists at times, but this isn't a counter-apologetic show. It's just a show for community and understanding. So the question is asked and answered, we appreciate that the question was asked and answered, right? Like, yeah, but it's a different goal. But yeah, anyway, James, I shared your stuff with my family because I think it's great, and it just was really nice, and it didn't get too deep, and it just had a great tone to it. So yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. I don't even know what to say to that. It makes me excited to go back and watch my own stream to see how great it was.
Yeah, and it's crazy. And I'll tell you.
What did I say?
And if you want a real compliment, I shared that before I shared my own stuff. So
wow, that's huge. That's really huge.
Yeah. Well, I'm not the friendly soft landing, so
right.
but yeah, definitely. All right, so I'll let James go, and then we'll get into Herschel Walker. Go ahead, James.
I take my victories where I can get them, and I had a really great victory today.
Oh, tell
I
us
should
about
say
it.
I turned a failure into victory. I made a cheese omelet, and I made it in a different way than I normally make it. And I thought it was going to be delicious with cheese and veggie. And it ended up being the most horrible thing I'd ever made. And so I was about to throw it out, but then I realized I felt sick to my kind of like, not bad sick, but like uneasy in my stomach. And so I just set it down. I'm like, I'm just going to sit here for a while and do other stuff. 4 hours later, I realized I hadn't been hungry since because it sat so poorly on my stomach, and I realized this is the ultimate diet food.
I was going to say,
bites.
send recipe immediately.
Yep, couple of bites, and you won't want to eat nothing for hours, man. This is wonderful.
What was spoiled? What was wrong with it?
So what I did is I have this special butter. It's avocado-based butter, so it's not dairy-based. And you can get it from like Walmart. It comes in sticks or tubs or whatever. And I cooked it in that. And the whole oil just kind of saturated everything, and it does not taste good in that state. And so it set heavy, but it didn't make me like want to like hurl or anything. It just set uneasy with me for like 4 hours. And I'm like, man, if I do this every day, I'm going to lose so much weight. This is great. So instead of throwing it out, I'm going to save it.
Why there's avocado butter and not butter?
I've just been trying to get as close as I can to vegan or something like that. So like the eggs that I get them from farmers that are like, I can see how they take care of their chickens and, things like that. So it's harder to get butter that way. So I just get the avocado. There's a couple of different plant butters that Walmart has that actually taste really good on toast. They just don't taste good to make eggs in. So
okay. All right.
So that was my experience today that I thought was pretty cool. It's terrible, but it's terrible in a great way that I found useful. And I'm not just kidding. Like I'm gonna like save some of this for later. I put it in the fridge already. Yeah. And have some as an appetite suppressor.
James, I might have you share that recipe with me, man, because I'd love to make it myself and give it a go. While we're speaking of accomplishments, go ahead. I'll let you do this, and then I got to come back to something. Go ahead.
You are a scientist. So I missed most of what James said in his recipe. What you need to do is start with the thing in his recipe that you are not used to having, to see rather than this many ingredients, you can get it down to one, and then can you sell it as a pill and make billions of people like me?
Yes. But you know what? I won't do that. Because like you said, I'm a scientist, and you forget I do science for a very particular reason.
Because other people have money?
Yeah, because you have to, I don't do science experiments for free. I eat for free, but I don't do science experiments for free. But seriously, no, that's funny. But I wanted to mention though, I did hit 20,000 views. I think the day before yesterday, and definitely a thing to celebrate with you guys. And I feel like you guys are instrumental in the first 20,000 and definitely the next one. So it's just these numbers aren't crazy, right? There's people who have 20,000 subs or whatever, but it's like, they feel like real numbers that you take into account, and you think, man, people have, watched my crap that many times. But my one black friend really helped me get started. I started all this stuff in this community because I had the opportunity to do something with him. And then a lot of Gin and Truth's my favorite YouTuber. Most of us, we watch Uncle Bobby every day. But
Thank you so much.
yeah, we have a ton of fun, and I know that, you know, being able to do shows with you and stuff like that is definitely helping the steady growth that I'm seeing now, especially all the shout outs and stuff like that. And then you know, with James Apperson, it's like I get almost frustrated because I feel like in some sense we're like the best kept secret out here on the internet. But I hear all these bigger channels, Seth Andrews and the Atheist Experience and all of these people talking about how you got to build community and you got to, you know, do all the stuff that the churches are doing and we need more of that. They're all talking about it, but they're not doing it. And it's a different game. You know, if you make a really tightly produced 10-minute video that you drop a couple times a week, maybe once every other week, that's cool, and I appreciate your hard work. But what happens is people watch it for 10 minutes, and then they're on to the rest of their lives. Matter of fact, I hate when people give James Apperson that advice sometimes, because if somebody telling you what you could do to fit into their rotation better. Hey, James, I like to watch 10-minute videos because I get to watch, you know, I try to follow 12 different content creators throughout the week, right? But what James Apperson fans want is to show up and listen to James every day for a significant portion of their day or a few times throughout the day. Just like people want to sit there and they want to pull up their gin and truth and they don't want to have to touch the dial for the next hour plus, right? And so that's a different grind, right? It's not fucking Mark McGuire who steps up and hits a home run once in a while. It's Cal Ripken Jr., who shows up day in and day out, every day, right, for years, right? And so James is like jumping in that with me, like, no, let's do the community build. Let's be out here every day. Let's give our community somewhere to go. Let's broaden our horizons beyond counter-apologetics and all of that. So appreciate the three of you and everybody else that's here and gather, all the mods and stuff.
Yeah, I get a lot out of it too. I mean, every time I walk into a room, a virtual room, of course, and I see all the same names, it makes me happy to see all the people that I see all the time and that know me by name and I know them. And, you know, we know a little bit about each other's lives and we share these common interests and we engage on these topics. And I'm like, there's the team, right? There's the people. And I just love it.
Yeah,
and someone earlier today is like, they asked me on a private message, like, how do you know these people aren't secretly awful? And I'm like, I wouldn't even care. Here's how I look at that. Here's how I look at it. Let's say, for example, somebody in the community is secretly like an axe serial killer, murderer person, right?
Right.
And here they are. They're in our community, and we're just taking them at face value, and they're part of the community. We engage in these topics. We see them every day. They're getting socialization. And through that socialization, they're becoming less and less of a dangerous person because their social needs are being met in a healthy way. And so they're going to kill one less person with an axe probably this week, right? That's a win. So I don't need to know who in the community is secretly some like terrible person. If we need more of those too, as long as people can behave. I tell Otangelo this all the time. I'm like, as long as you can behave well and interact with people consistently in a pro-social, fair, equitable, healthy way, I don't care what your beliefs are. You can even share those beliefs and we'll talk about them if you want to. And he couldn't behave on my chat the other day. He just couldn't. And people kept saying, please let me kick Otangelo. Please let me kick him. And I didn't notice in chat that he'd been threatening people with hell. And once I realized that, I'm like, yep, kick him. Sorry, I didn't catch it at first. Go ahead, kick him. But I didn't want to have to, right? Like I told him.
Yeah.
Stay on topic as best you can and don't threaten anybody. And what he do? Immediately starts threatening people.
Now, I gave you a bit of a mocking comment, James, because I said, are we going to really kick Christians for threatening hell? Because isn't that their whole deal? So I wanted your thoughts on that. By the way, I thought you handled that beautifully. I was just kind of being tongue-in-cheek because you did make the boundary very clear, right? And you crossed it.
I did.
And then I think the other, I don't know the other thing. So take that, and my one black friend wants to comment on that.
Go ahead.
As far as I know, there's one ancient book. I guess if we can, I'm lumping the New Testament together, that discusses hell at any length. And it barely does. I don't think the comments about hell fill a single page if you added them all up together. How do we know there's really a hell? Like, we can drill down pretty far these days. Scientists have a fairly good idea of how the Earth is, what it's made of, its contents, the iron core, how much mantle is there, all that sort of thing. I have a fairly good idea, but no one has ever sort of struck hell when drilling. And even my friends and I, as children, when we tried to go to China by digging a hole, when it got to be about 3 feet deep, we realized this ain't happening. Even we did not expect that we'd strike hell at some point and have to figure out how to keep going to China. So what's the proof?
Yeah. So
But that's the garbage to me. Here I am. I'm trying to get my voice wrinkled up.
Is he talking?
Here I come. Here I come.
Okay.
And let the boys out. Okay. So asking where is hell is, to me, it's like asking where exactly is Krypton, because there's no. I've heard this 1,000 times before. Where's heaven? You know, you always point to the sky, and they say, well, it's not actually in the sky; it's another dimension. There's always another walnut shell to put this bullshit ass marble under, so you can move it around. And so it's like, where is hell? It's nowhere. Because I'm willing to bet anyone a paycheck that the shit doesn't exist. And so it's, I always found it to be a useless argument. I remember when I was on SJ's channel, and it was exactly that. Right? It's like, okay, fine. You don't want to talk about the hell thing because that's too negative. Where's heaven? And she was like, well, it's another dimension.
Right.
Like, what is this, fucking Star Trek? What are you talking about? Another dimension?
Right. And then how do you know?
Tell me, right. If you're going to tell me I'm going to go somewhere, you need to be able to show me where it is.
Exactly.
Well,
and so it's like, where is hell? It's like, first, give me some concrete evidence that leads to a proof that this place of eternal torment actually exists. Then we can talk. Because I'm not going to get into a 29-minute argument on where Oa is. It's why. And so it's like the heaven and the hell thing, to me, it's just a ridiculous argument. You know, where is it? I don't know. It's something that someone made up to punish kids or to scare the shit out of them.
I do wonder if that isn't a question we should be asking believers. If they say, well, I don't want you to go to hell. Well, where is hell? And can we go there? Can we travel there right now? With the technology we have, can we dig down far enough? Or if they say it's in another dimension, where does the Bible say that? Because often, I think what we're finding, Gin and Truth, just like with heaven, it's their ideas about what it is what we truly have. Just like the ancients who wrote the Bible, it's their ideas about heaven and hell. That's what we have. We don't have proof that those places exist, right? Because in Genesis, there's supposed to be the rakia, the metal sky dome that covers the earth. It's not there. It's not there.
Right.
And yet there are people who will tell you, if you present that to them, that's not what that means. Or they get kind of quiet because they don't have a comeback for that. And I think it's okay. I don't have an answer for everything, although I have been told I have. And as I like to say, how come I'm not smart enough to know if I have an answer for everything? So I think that I'd say if you get in an argument with a theist, or if you just want to know, right? I'd say those are good questions to ask. Well, where is heaven? And if they say it's in another dimension, where does the Bible say that? Can you show me? There are online Bibles that you could use in that moment, and they could tell you where to look. And if they say, I don't know, you can ask, how long have you been a Christian? 38 years. You've been a Christian for 38 years. Have you read the Bible all the way through? Typically, statistically, the answer is no.
Of course not.
And they haven't even heard the Bible all the way through, more than likely. You know, we have audio books now. We have audio books for a long time. You could have got the Bible on a record too, and they just don't know.
That's crazy.
And you can sort of show. I think faith ultimately is a delicate thing. My disbelief that Jesus was real is not a delicate thing. You can give me facts if you have them. Present them to me. My disbelief that there is a God is not delicate. Show me. Prove it.
Oh yeah.
Where are the receipts? And if you
Nowhere to
don't
be
have
found.
them, it's still okay that you believe it. If you're a fantastic person and wonderful company, we can enjoy each other because I'm pretty good company myself. But even if it's foundational and you can't prove it, I'd say to some degree, if you have some really good guiding principles, that's excellent. If you are saying that it's true, you should be able to prove it.
I agree.
Yeah, I can demonstrate 2 + 2 is 4. I can demonstrate 1 + 1 is 2. I could even demonstrate, if I take it as a family as an example, that 1 and 1 is 3 or 4 or 5, depending on how much those parents, how many kids they produce together. If that's my context. But the religious people in the Christian context and context similar to it, they have it way tougher than I do. Yeah.
Yeah, but the religious come back to 1 + 1 is 2. Who made the universal consistent that 1 + 1 = 2? If there is no God, why isn't 1 + 1 not equal field goal post? You're going to say the same
I remember
shit.
Cy Tim Brugenkamp used to do that,
Right.
Gin and Truth.
Yeah,
He used to argue that way.
right, and that's what I'm saying. This to me, this is why I stopped talking to Christians, even though I talk to some because I'm an asshole. But it's like, again, if your kid sounded like this, you'd smack this shit out of him. Right? Again, it's like, well, you know good and goddamn well, I told you to be home at 10 o'clock. It's 2 a.m. I'm sick. Your mama was worried sick. Right? Where the hell were you? Well, can you prove to me that it's actually 2 o'clock? If there is no God, why is it at 9:45? You'd slap the shit out of your kid. That's what we would do to a child who misbehaved. That shit that comes out of their mouth, by any other definition, is misbehaving. When your 15-year-old does it, you take the car keys away, you cut off their internet, you take off their phone. When Turk does it, you give him a PhD. And it's like, this is what I'm saying. Stop being nice. I'm not saying be mean, but again, I'm not going to sit here and listen to you talk about other dimensions.
I think what you're arguing for, to me, is just treating them, I think of it as with a certain dignity, but demanding the same in return. Okay, if you're going to tell me you believe Christianity, I have the right. And I've done this with dates, and and sometimes the dates have ended fine, and sometimes it's been a good time to end that, which is, okay, so a man was born to a virgin. Yes. Okay, that man was perfect. Yes. He died for your sins. Yes. He was alive, then he was dead, then he was alive again. Yes, right? Like we should be able to just run it down just like that, and you go ahead and give me the appropriate response to how you feel about these things.
Well, I think this is turning into how to interview a Christian to see if they can prove what they're saying.
Sure.
The Socratic method is really beautiful and not very difficult to apply, where the answer
so long as you don't take it too
question,
far, right, James? It becomes sample pack.
I don't think I've ever heard sample pack speak. I've heard a few
I think he's
questions on
fine, but James doesn't like it.
Okay, well, look, I mean, I think it's unfair.
I don't know him as well. I should put that. I haven't heard that much from either. But yeah, go ahead.
Okay, but if you ask, and I'd say gently ask for those answers, they should be able to give them to you. And as far as I'm concerned, anybody who says, I don't know, that's all right. That's all right. I don't have all the answers either. I probably can get you an answer, though, for many, many questions. And I think to some degree, we would be sowing the seeds of doubt in that person, but that may inspire something beautiful to come out of that person. Like maybe they do take it seriously and say, hey, I realize I'm not studied. I'm going to dig into it a little more. When I did that, because that happened to me, I became an atheist. They may see things completely different and, sell all they have and go move to some country and do nothing but help poor people for the rest of their lives, their life. And that could be wonderful.
Sure,
if something
sure.
like that was to happen.
So
I think in a way you have to honor the potential of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with that. I was just gonna say I wanna get us going with Herschel Walker. So does anybody have
Herschel.
anything else to add to this before we do that?
Not me.
Let's dunk on Herschel.
You can't dunk on Herschel. He played
That sounds
football.
like a challenge.
There's
And
no
that's my
dunking in
problem.
football.
And that is my problem.
All
I've
right.
already heard the people say the excuses. He took too many hits to the head. Let me tell you something. I took too many hits to the head, and I don't sound like that.
Right.
Herschel Walker is, at his core, terrible.
Yeah. All right.
Well, no, it's just because he is a habitual liar. His lies have been caught. We've got the fucking receipts.
Right.
We've got him on video.
Right.
And he still will not budge.
Right.
Everybody makes a mistake. Everyone colors outside the lines. That's not what defines you. It's, do you acknowledge your fuck up? Did you apologize for your fuck up? Did you learn from it and move on from it? We've got a man who sat there and quite literally had to be talked to like he was a misbehaving second grader. Right? I'm a cop. I look at me. I got a badge.
Yeah, that's what we're about to get into, I think.
Right. And the moderator had to straight up tell him, you were told not to do that. And again, it's like the Christianity stuff. If you had a kid who acted like that, you'd snatch away their privileges. Instead, here's someone who literally has a shot at a government job.
Right. He's running for Senate.
Right. And it's been proven. You were you're a toy cop. Mall cops have more authority than Herschel Walker.
Absolutely.
This is a man who sat here and has used the age-old line. Well, if evolution is true, we came from monkeys, then why are there still monkeys? People clap their hands.
They did.
When he said,
I saw that. I
that's
lost my
bullshit.
mind. I lost my mind. Because I was
Right.
thinking, why do you even have to go there? That's not relevant. It
Right.
has nothing to do with
But
anything. You don't even have to bring it
because
up.
he's pandering to the Christians.
Right.
If Christian Walker was on fire, and if I had a full bladder, I would not whip my dick out to piss on Christian Walker. But Christian Walker came out and said, I'm done. I'm done
Yeah,
with my
he
dad.
did. I'm done with him.
And Herschel's the first one to sit here and tell you, rape, it does not matter the circumstance. No birthing person can have an abortion.
All right.
Talking about
Okay.
fatherless households and all this other crap, all the while.
Hang
Go ahead.
on.
I go on for days
Hang
with
on.
this asshole.
But before we do this, it's something we got to take care of first. Let's take care of a little show business here. All right,
Yeah.
so before we got to set this up, a lot of people are, number one, not quite as advanced in years as ourselves, and number two, not what we call around here sports ball fans. And so if they come through the lab, that hey, Uncle Bob, if you hang around and watch Sunday Night Football and everybody here is invited, they might come through and go, is there sports ball on here? I'm going away. So for those people that aren't familiar with sports ball from back in the day, especially from the perspective of a high-level D1 NFL signed football player, tell these people who Herschel Walker was, for those that don't remember, because they don't understand the tragedy of what we're
Herschel
talking
Walker
about here.
It was unfair. He was like Bo Jackson before there was a Bo Jackson.
Boom.
Jackson, you're tackling a linebacker running at tailback speed. It just wasn't fair. University of Georgia, Heisman Trophy winner. And for my generation of football player, we looked up to Herschel because he was one who said, with this Herculean-like body, he didn't lift any weights. He did 1,500 crunches, sit-ups, and push-ups a night. And we all tore our pecs off the fucking bone trying to imitate this man's workout routine. He said he ate 1 meal a day, and it was his salad. Herschel Walker was a fucking trendsetter. It was like tackling a van going downhill with no brakes.
I'm gonna put up some pictures real quick so we can.
Yeah, everything he
it.
touched athletically, he mastered. He got bored one day and was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be an Olympic bobsled person. He did that shit.
And y'all, to give him credit, this is young Herschel versus old Herschel, right? This is the man when he was in college, looking lean, mean cut, right? And this is him grown ass pre-Senate run, looking better. What is wrong with him? His genes are messed up. His habits are messed up. He's a freak.
Unfair.
He's a freak.
Unfair. This man woke up one morning after he did the Olympics and said, I'm going to be an MMA fighter. But if you remember, it went bobsled.
Bobsled.
The fucker was a principal ballet dancer.
Ballet dancer.
Then, yes, he was. And then the fuckface decided to get in the MMA ring. Athletically, the man has got no equal. Sadly, he is as stupid as he is athletic and a horrible liar. And it's like the Melania Trump stuff.
James, you got the keyboard
I've got
going.
17 degrees. I graduated from UGA. He didn't graduate from UGA. These are all things that we can look up.
Oh, he didn't finish.
No,
of course not. He went to the pros. Everybody knows that. I mean, he went to the pros in front of the whole world.
And I went, and then I came back, and I finished my degree because I had 6 credit hours left.
Oh, got you.
Everything he's done after he's hung up his cleats, his ballet tights, his MMA gloves, and his bobsledding, everything he's done since then has just been sitting on some bullshit. And it's all traceable. It's all confirmable and falsifiable. And everything that's come out of his mouth has been a lie.
Right.
Since. And it's disturbing that the fact that Warnock has to battle it out, the fact that this is not 1 million votes for Warnock, 1 vote for Walker.
Right. That being Herschel Walker.
Yeah, right.
You're assuming he knows how to vote.
Right. But it scares me. It's like Marjorie Greene. It's like Lauren Boebert. It's like Donald Trump. The fact that we know these people's name for anything, that politics ties to their name, scares me. How do you not see Herschel Walker's social resume and not run in the opposite direction, especially if you're going to sit here and tell me that you are voting from the party of family values? It doesn't go together. It just can't.
I can explain this to you. So
Try me.
I'm going to ask you a series of questions. In your opinion, is Herschel Walker capable of intelligently governing the will of the people?
No, you had me at intelligently.
Okay. No. In your opinion, is Herschel Walker someone with a very good understanding of laws and how they are created?
No.
In your opinion, is Herschel Walker a person who has a very strong mind that is able to be creative and come up with ideas that will advance the United States of America?
No.
Now, if he's put into office, what is he good for?
If Herschel Walker gets into office, he's going to keep a seat red instead of turning it blue. That's it.
He is a puppet.
Exactly.
I'm going to tell you what to say. I'm damn sure going to tell you how to say it, for crying out loud. Right. Say it the way I tell you to. And when it comes time to vote, all you know is you're voting like this person over here. So whatever they say, whatever they vote for, you're going to vote for.
Sure.
So in the United States of America, a lot of our electorate doesn't know the issues, right? I'm one of those people, if I see a judge is running for a seat, if I don't know who that is, I don't know anything about them, I don't vote for them or against them. Let me move on down my ballot to what I do know about. Some people will ask someone they respect what they should do. This happens within families as well. Well, who should I vote for? And
that was the pastor thing we were talking about.
Yeah. And as a result, when they stand in the booth and they vote, they're voting for who they were told to.
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
So there needs to be, I'd say, to some degree, a disconnect. Without one.
How so?
Sure. The disconnect needs to be that people need to get educated, and myself included, right? Well, that judge is in my community. Whichever one of these guys is going to become the judge or gals, they are in my community. I don't know anything about them. What if I think that person's a psychopath? What if I think they're racist? What if I think their rulings have been unfair? I'm doing by not voting against them or for them if they're good. I gotta say, I'm probably doing the irresponsible thing.
Absolutely.
That person's going to be in my community. It should be my duty to know.
Absolutely.
I really should feel that way. Now I can sit here and say that, and yet I can guarantee you, I'm not going to look at any judges, for voting. I'm not, because I don't have time.
Right.
I got to focus on the other people that are running there in California, to see who I'm going to vote for, and I may be moving.
Right.
I don't want to screw. Well, I'm pretty sure I'll be moving. I don't want to screw anybody that's there over.
Right.
And if someone is doing a fantastic job, I sure hope they keep doing a fantastic job. And maybe my voice and vote are useful in assisting them. But people like Herschel Walker, yes, keeping a seat red. And not only that, you get his vote on most things.
There it is. Boom, boom,
are
boom.
Informing him. I think when we listen to Marjorie Taylor Greene,
he'll do what he's told.
We see a bit of this, where they are allowed to speak their minds, but to some degree, we see gaps in their knowledge, right?
Of course.
Sadly, about the Bible.
I
said at some degree.
He said at some degree, yeah. Uncle Bobby, there's always that one in the group of friends that's way too nice. That's my one black friend. That's why everybody loves him. So he gives us the lenient boundary. Yeah, he's charitable. He gives us that charitable boundary. Yeah.
He's the man who gives away.
On the floor, he's the ceiling. Yeah.
I've got none of that.
Yeah.
But please continue being nice.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
It's good to have a balance.
Exactly. There it
is. But they clearly have their opinions. And then they have the opinions that are given to them. Again, what to say, how to say it, how to vote. I think if that weren't the case, they'd be better representatives. That's why Lauren Boebert can get up in a debate and keep harping on Nancy Pelosi this, Nancy Pelosi that. And yet her opponent says, I'm not Nancy Pelosi.
Yep.
Right.
Now, if you have people who don't want to listen that are in that audience, right? I'm Boebert all the way. I'm Boebert all the way. Look, she's fantastic to look at.
Right.
But maybe she shouldn't, maybe her ideas could be better.
Right.
Could be different.
Maybe she could be somewhere where her job is to be looked at.
I think she'd do well at that. I think we all need to understand about politics is Democrats and Republicans, independents.
Oh my
and
goodness!
so on,
I just killed my worldview. But go ahead, I'll tell you about it in a sec.
Okay. They all have platforms. I put a link in the chat to the Republican Party platform.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the reasons we probably see serial mind changers. Now that's charitable. You go ahead and jump in on that. We see serial mind changers like Lindsey Graham, who doesn't seem to have a single opinion. He just has multiple opinions about one thing. So he's sticking to the platform that the Republicans have fleshed out. This is what we are about in the Republican Party. So if someone was pro-abortion rights 2 years ago, well, they can't be now because the platform says they're anti-abortion. If they don't give a rip about, somebody becoming trans, well, now they have to because it's in the platform. So they are sticking with this plan that someone who, and I don't know what they used as a guide. I'm assuming previous platforms are a guide to some degree, plus the way they want to see the world.
Oh, yeah.
The world they want to see. That's what they're asking for. So
it's actually quite impressive that they even have a document like this because we all know their real platform. Your platform is... So there's your platform, which is the official thing you submit when you're asked to submit your platform anytime, media and stuff like that ask for these things. I've worked with campaigns and had to write these things, right? But your actual platform, in a colloquial sense, is what you use to get votes. So what you do to get people to vote for you is really your platform. And then there's and then it's right. And then there's the document that you submit as the the representation of that in print. And so it's actually an impressive manuscript in terms of, holy crap, you guys actually hired somebody to write you something that looks like an actual political platform. But it shows you how deep it is because we all know they don't actually talk about this stuff, or they do, only in the simplest terms, and then they just turn everything into a culture war. So thanks for sharing that. It's a brilliant document, and hopefully can one of the mods or somebody hopefully will share it in the stream chat or something.
That would be great.
So let's go ahead and jump into this Herschel Walker for this last hour and see what everybody's got to say about this. What's going on here? Let me share the screen.
This is gonna be painful. I need another drink.
Yep.
Are we gonna listen to actual Herschel?
Yeah. Christ. Well, cheers. Cheers to the Blackout and Hot Program remix. I actually like this, man. This is great. Also, man, got to give it up, man, for all the black content creation that's happening right now. Love that to have these other positive black role models in my life. Including James Apperson. I think James opt out, but James, you can pop back in later if you want, man. But appreciate you guys for being here. Let's go ahead and click on my screen and go ahead, my friend.
He's going to read I see. Yes, that's my check in the title.
Well, that's a full interview. I don't even know if we'll get to that part. But
okay, because what I want to know is if Herschel Walker paid for an abortion, how does he still have kids? Explain that.
That's a good one.
Thank you so much for agreeing to do this interview. I appreciate it.
That's such a good one, though.
This is going to be bad.
All right. Yeah, go ahead, click on it. And
so we are getting down to the
make it big screen
of this race. What do these final days and weeks look like for you? And do you think you can avoid a runoff?
Well, these days are going to be hectic. They're going to be busy. But to win this seat, I don't mind getting busy. I want the people to know that I represent them. So these days are me visiting voters and asking voters to get out and vote. Have your voices heard, have your vote counted, because that's important. That when it's over, it's settled. And I said, we're not going to be in a runoff. I said, I'm going to win it outright and not a runoff. Everyone would love runoffs, but right now I think people need leaders that's going to go to Washington and represent them, not worry about runoff and campaigning all the time.
Let me ask you about one of the biggest policy issues looming over this race, and that is the economy. It's something that you've talked.
He's right about that. I'm going to give my dad, you need a leader who is going to go to Washington and not be worried about campaigning all the time. I want to give some shout outs to Papa Bundy. You know, my dad's a political media figure in New Jersey. I grew up in politics. I'm what they call a politico. And I happen to be a young black man in America who's actually a second generation politico. I can move to New Jersey anytime and have a political career based off nothing but being my father's son. But I earned that bitch. See my work in the Booker administration. You know, I'll talk about Corey, right? I always wanted to be part of the administration, because what you get into politics for is, like my one black friend talks about, you want to be a public servant, you want to make a difference, you want to fight the fight on behalf of the people, right? And so you want to think about, do I want to be a lawyer, a judge, and work in the accounting department, be a fucking superstar athlete that inspires people to go to college in this city and fucking go on and do some crazy shit. Like, you know, it's all there, but it's a dirty game because you have to get elected. And so you have to, it's a zero-sum game too. Matter of fact, I've been part of campaigns where literally we've been dealing with somebody who was going to spend their own money, like to try to win a seat from us, and all we did was up the amount of money we spent whooping that person's ass in that district. And a lot of what we did was a bunch of stunts and stuff just to make them spend more money. Why? Not because we wanted them to lose and learn. You don't go up against the Booker administration. You can't outspend us. And if you try, it is going to be the most painful financial decision you've ever made. Because we will drain you of everything, and we are not even spending our own money. You don't want this. And so what I'm trying to get at, guys, is that's how it is. So myself, like when I worked with my candidate, she said, if I get elected, you can do whatever you want in my administration, literally. When I work with Cory Booker, he asked me two questions. What do you want to do? And what do you need? Right? But at the same time, I know my greatest asset to these people is I understand campaigns. I understand elections. We can help these people and I mean, it's strategic. It's what's the number? There's a number. Like if Uncle Bobby said right now, Jay, I want to run for mayor of Austin, Texas, and we sat down and I would look him in the face, and my first question is going to be, what's the number? He's going to go, huh? I'm going to be like, welcome to Jay Bundy Election School 101. First thing you must understand is there is a number. What is that number? It's the number of votes you need to get elected the mayor of Austin, folks. That's right. You guys just went, aha, he's right. There's an actual number. Yeah, the fuckface, there's a number. And you gotta literally go wake up on election day knowing you have that number of votes. And that's what this is about. So you got to know which districts can we get, what number we get on. That's what you're doing when you go to door. When people go canvassing door to door and that person knocks on your door and they go, can we talk to you about? And you go, no, I'm too busy. You're fucking their game up. I do it to them all the time. But if you really want to help them out, answer that call. Why? Because they're trying to count you. They're trying to say, can I count on your vote for this candidate, this candidate, this candidate, this candidate, and this candidate? Because they're trying to make sure they hit their mark. And so it's a dirty game, and he's right about this. Our whole system is so fucked up because everybody who wants to be a public servant doesn't realize being a public servant means getting elected and staying elected. And you are going to spend more money and more time and more human resource power getting elected than anything else. And then as soon as you get elected and now you think you can take a deep breath and actually do some public service and make the world a better place, wrong. You now have to make staying elected your full-time job. And so, and then the funny part is all the shit you do for actual work, like the service that you do, the committees that you sit on, the laws that you pass, the bills that you vote on. Nobody ever talks about that stuff because it doesn't help you get elected. So how much TV time do they spend covering, oh yeah, today Bernie Sanders sat on the financial committee for 14 hours and read 700 pages of, nobody, that shit doesn't get any play. So our whole system is jacked. And it's just like any other church that's sitting on some bullshit. Herschel Walker's got just enough truth to sneak in there to be a rallying cry. Just like Donald Trump. Herschel Walker said he's not going to be all about getting elected. He ain't with no fucking runoff. He's going to go straight. He's going to, wait, what's he going to do, Uncle Bobby? He's going to grab the political football looking like a linebacker running at tailback speed and touchdown his ass all the way to D.C., kicking ass for the American people. And what scares me about Herschel Walker is he's got the similar package to Trump, a little bit less money, but he's got a bigger celebrity profile, and he has the legit alpha male background that Trump never had.
Trump is doughy like myself.
So I'm going to roll the tape, y'all, but the game is real.
A lot about. You talked about it in the debate. You said people here in Georgia are hurting. President Biden just said inflation is going to get worse.
Also, I felt like I left y'all with a cliffhanger. If you want to know how to get the number and you don't know, the number is basically an estimate of how many votes it's going to take. And you should know that based on, one, the number of voters in the primary in both parties, and then what the typical turnout rate is in that election. So you know, based on how many registered voters there are in each party, let's say we typically do, you get 15 to 30% of that vote. So that's where you get these numbers from. And if you need a starting point, you refer to the last election. So what was the number it took last time, right? And then you adjust based on changes to the electorate from there. And then you also account for things like, are we coinciding with a midterm? Is that a contentious midterm? So right now, the midterms we're dealing with right now are the second hottest thing possible next to a presidential year, right? If you're a presidential year, those are the hottest years for elections up and down the ballot. You have the most voter turnout, et cetera. Next would be contentious midterm years like then it's off year midterms, right? Because nobody gives a crap. And then off years, right? Sort of if you run in a year where there aren't national campaigns, the Senate seats aren't up and stuff like that. So those are how you make those adjustments. So I don't want to leave you hanging. There is a number, and that is how you go about understanding what that number is.
If Republicans are elected, what is your reaction and what specifically will you do to lower prices?
Well, first of all, the reaction is inflation has gotten worse since they've been in office. Inflation has gotten worse since they've been in office, and they call it the Inflation Reduction Act. But do you see anything in it that reduce inflation? And what will I do first? You want to get our energy independence back. We can't continue to go over and ask our enemy for oil. And people ask, what do you mean by that? What I mean by that is we're some of the most effective oil drillers in the world today. But yet we're going to other places asking them who do more carbon into the air than we do. Because it seemed like they waged war, President Biden and Senator Warner waged war on our domestic energy. But that's one of the first things I would do. But then the reckless spending, let's be honest, people say reckless spending. What do you mean by that? Well, let's just go to 87,000 RS agents.
All right. So the United States produces enough energy, oil included, for all of its needs. Right now. It's been doing that a long time. The oil industry in this country is subsidized. It's subsidized by the taxpayer. So when you go to the gas pump, you don't even realize how they're taxing you. Like you just couldn't understand it to what degree that there is. And these oil companies, Katie Porter's a good person to watch out for this. How companies, she recently did a thing on inflation that's you got to watch. How companies are determining a lot of what happens in our economy, not government. Not government. Just like you remember when you got some sort of tax relief check?
Yeah.
How the price of everything went up because people knew you had the money. That's really how the economy works. If I know you got it, I'm going to take it from you because I want it.
Okay.
So the cost of a Porsche went up because now more business owners which are people that can often afford those cars.
Right, they're getting more.
We know
of the
you're getting more
expendable
money
income.
because you're fleecing your customers if they are that sort of business. You're
Right.
fleecing your customers. We know you got it.
Right.
So we'll take it from you too. And it just scales up, right? Now
Absolutely.
you have a down payment, so the bank will loan you money at a higher interest rate. Because they know you didn't have a down payment on your car, on your used car. Now you do.
Yes.
Line up, turkeys.
Even Herschel Walker, he's probably made terrible decisions throughout his life.
Yes.
He's probably, like realizing he definitely can't fight forever, and he can't, that athletic train's going to run off. Now, what he should do is just go into like being a spokesperson and trying to live off his fame. But he tries to now. Trump has created this path. Oh, shit, you can get into politics with no background, no experience, no training, no nothing. Stick to the script, and that very sizable Republican power base will come to bat for you. Now, all he's got to really do is get them to turn out. And that's why they love him, because he's useful. I always say this to folks. I will not work with you. I actually hate politics. I think it's really irritating. And most people just are so stuck in the run of the mill that they can't really do much. But if you give me something fun to do, I'll do it. And I will work on your campaign only under one condition. You have to be a motherfucking superstar. Because otherwise, you're just a career politician. And what I mean by superstar is you have to have some X factor about you that makes you leap off the page. So Cory Booker, for instance, the fact that we're so close, I've worked for him so much, and the fact that he will tell you he loves both me and my father and will do anything for us he can, that makes my whole dad's career. Because you could spend your whole life, right, in politics and never get close to a presidential hopeful, right? So anytime you have anything to do with the career of a presidential hopeful, it's like you must know your shit, right? Or at least you got a big seal of approval, because most people, their political career never even reaches the level of being a contributor to the mayor, right? All they got is, I helped the alderman get elected once.
Right.
So, but his intangibles were clear from the gate. He's 6 foot. He's Uncle Bobby's height, right? He's 6 foot, whatever the fuck.
Played for Stanford.
Played for Stanford, right? He was a high school All-American, went to Yale Law School. He was a Rhodes Scholar, right? And he's an unbelievable orator. He will bring you to tears with his speeches. Very sharp scholar, right? And did the whole public servant thing, right? He moved to the hood in Newark and bought himself the apartment in a rough part of town and did this public interest attorney thing, So he built himself up perfectly, right? But he's known since he was an undergrad in college that he was running for president. He strategically mapped out, you go to do all this. He's been building this pedigree, right, the whole time. And then you go to Newark, because Newark's the power. If he's black, so they're not going to let him through New Jersey power through anywhere, right? He can't go to South Jersey or North Jersey and get elected, right? They're going to try to hold him out. He's got to go where you can get black power, Newark, right? Right, but he's from Jersey and everything, so Newark treated him like he was an outsider. So he had to run for city council and then become the mayor. He lost the first time he ran for mayor, stuck it out, built his administration up. And then my dad called his career, I don't know, when I was 11 or 12. He said, Cory will run for mayor. He'll probably lose the first time. He'll build himself up. He'll win. Then he'll get Frank Lautenberg's seat. He'll become the U.S. senator, and he'll become a presidential hopeful. His career has followed that path exactly. But it's rare that you get that. When I work with Judy Brown Clark, she just lost the mayor of Lansing, but she let me run her whole campaign. She was great. She's an Olympic silver medalist. She still holds a lot of track and field records. She was married to a judge, raised children that she adopted from somebody who was strung out. I mean, and she made herself a city councilwoman. She takes her medals with her. She has a PhD in political science. I knew her. She was the director of diversity, the center where I worked. Right. So again, just a superstar, like once in a lifetime, generational, right? People who you just don't meet. Uncle Bob, look, he played football at Texas, bro. He's been drafted in the NFL. Yeah. You just don't meet people that give you something to sell, quite frankly, that they're larger than life, right? They've got these larger than life. Judy Brown Clark was an Olympian, y'all. She had contracts with Nike and American Express and Visa. Jay, I got Visa sponsorship, right? You're like, oh, cool, we could work with that, right? You know what I'm saying? So that's why you say, okay, you need help on your campaign? Yeah, let's talk, because I know if you go somewhere, you could go somewhere. So what I'm telling y'all is Herschel Walker, as dumb as he is dangerous.
Oh, very dangerous.
Because he's Herschel fucking Walker, right? And these Republican fucktards are so status driven, and all they care about is, the status and whatever. It's like to them, he allows them to say they're not racist because he's black. Right? Oh, yeah. He's from the fucking South. He's plain spoken. He ain't trying to pretend he's the most eloquent motherfucker. He sticks to the script. And then they can just say, he's a hero. He's a damn goddamn American icon. You know what I mean? And it's true, and it sucks. So we got to be concerned about this motherfucker, as much as I hate to admit it.
What are they going to do?
I have not
go after people like your lower income. They're not going to go after the wealthy people. We know that. And I think the Committee on Taxation said that. They're going to go after people that are making less than $200,000 a year.
Well, and I hear you talk about energy independence. That really is a long-term solution. What are you going to do in the short term? What's
you're
the
100%.
first thing you want to
First of all,
happen?
it's a long-term solution because they made it a long-term, because they waged war on it, and now it takes a while for them to get it back up again. Well, right now, we got to stop the reckless spending. Why don't you cut taxes? Right now, lower the taxes. You're raising taxes on everyone. So right now, taxpayers are paying for everything they're spending. Taxpayers are paying for it. They're like they're doing something. No, they're taking money from the taxpayers. What do you say? And I think that's what's wrong right now. Bring some of the jobs back here. You got to get this economy jump started. Get some of the
Katie
jobs,
Porter for president. I fucking love Katie Porter.
When they started paying people to stay home, now people got comfortable at home.
But Carrie Ann brought up some great points. Go ahead.
No, what's that?
Earlier she had said something about. Earlier she had just told the story about the police. She talked about the police being really great to her when she was arrested in Michigan. And I just, I've had police be amazing to me and be an absolute threat to my life. And damn, it's hard to say this, but if they're going to be a part of our society, we should acknowledge when they get it right and try to point people more towards that. But also here she said lifetimes of creating an office-worthy image. And that's what I'm talking about with Trumpism. We have to understand that this is serious, essentially, warfare for them because there's only one route to go. The Herschel Walkers of the world, the Donald Trumps of the world cannot compete with the AOCs of the world, the Bernie Sanders, the Bidens, the Cory Bookers of the world. Those people have spent. Cory Booker has tackled a bank robber in front of City Hall and gone, not in my city. And we on some WWE shit, and we're in the law department going, yeah, we have to write up a memo and send it to the executive office about how the mayor isn't allowed to tackle people. We've literally had to do this. Sorry, mayor, you're not allowed to run into burning buildings to save women. Like, why? why does he do this shit, y'all? He knows it's literally illegal. He knows, like what Carrie Ann is saying, it creates a lifetime of office-worthy imagery. I learned this shit from him. It's called being a fucking superhero. I used to do this when I was at Penn State. When I saw a fucking ambulance or cops, I ran to the scene, sprinted, dead sprint. Why? Because a lot of times there was a kid getting arrested for marijuana. And then I created these epic scenes where literally they were getting arrested and the fucking president of normal ran to their aid. And oftentimes I would talk to the cop on their behalf. And then I'd give them my business card. Say, shut your fucking mouth, take this card, call me. I'd present the officer with the card. And guess what happened? The officers would do what? Get used to me doing this. So they would act all nonchalant about it. Oh, hey, Jay, how you doing? Yeah, okay, cool, right? And then that kid would do what? Call me. And then what happened? I got a lawyer for you, blah, blah, blah. That creates this fucking impression of you like, holy shit, the president of the weed club at Penn State is not fucking around. And he will go literally into superhero mode in real life. Right? So, like, and that's how you learn. But it's to Carrie Ann's point. You're creating a lifetime of office-worthy image because you are doing this crazy shit. And so for these Trumpleton fucktards, they cannot compete with that. They cannot compete with the Chuck Schumer who's been holding it down in the district that controls Wall Street for decades. So this Republican nuttery is the only game in town.
Lowering taxes.
And Trump has shown them they can get to the highest levels of power with it.
Or taxes. I don't know how you're going to think that you're going to raise taxes and you're going to lower the inflation. You don't do it that way. You got to lower how you don't. Raising taxes do not help the inflation. You got to lower taxes to help the inflation.
The criticism of lowering taxes is that it helps large corporations, the wealthy. How do you make sure if you're in the U.S. Senate?
First of all, let's get this straight.
Targeted to people who really need relief.
When you start trying to say I'm gonna raise taxes on the top, it's gonna water down to the bottom because when people running a company, I run a company. You raise the taxes on the company, they got to pass.
And that's their playbook. Always with the already debunked arguments.
I'm about to say trickle down. I remember the first time I heard that. I was a kid. It was the Reagan era. Trickle down has proven one thing and one thing only, and that is when you give rich people more money, all they do is get richer. No, the whole if you hook me up as a multimillionaire, then I'm gonna help it. No, we've got what, a 40-year test tube of failure to say that the whole trickle down theory, it has been sitting on some bullshit since the day it was.
The only thing that the money doesn't trickle downhill, but the bullshit does. Simple physics.
Absolutely. No, so that whole trickle down thing, I can tell you right now, that's just garbage. That is it.
My one black friend, we lost your camera, by the way.
Still not back on?
Yeah, you may just need to just refresh the browser or whatever.
Sit down.
Must roll the tape.
Go down because they're not going to eat all that, and I think they.
But I just want to say, that's the playbook. It's already debunked arguments, guys, and that's the insult to our intelligence. We live in this anti-truth world where they can just tell us shit we know isn't true already.
Excuses and try to tell people, the top corporation, they're making all the money, all the big profit. No, they're not. They're trying, right now, I'm in the business world. And I said, when I'm trying to sell my product, I have to pay more for gas. And I can't eat all that, so I pass it along. I have to pay more for feed. I can't eat all that. I have to pass it along. I got to pay more for my employees. I can't eat all that. I have to pass it on. So the customer get hit with that. And I think that's what they're not telling you. It's a little bit more involved than them just making those words. And it's not working. Well, then that's what you see. Is it working? It's not working. They're doing it.
Let me ask you about the price of prescription drugs, another issue that came up during your debate.
Bro, we have the 1% and the 99. What is trickle down that hasn't been working that he's been talking about? And yes, he's absolutely right. Us continuing to not hold rich people accountable and them not. Yes, the current system is not working, Herschel. Yes, astute observation, my friend.
And
the fuck is wrong with these people?
For the cost of insulin in particular, you said during the debate that people who are worried about the high price of insulin should, quote, eat right. But people who are suffering, people who are suffering from type 1
can you pause it so I can
diabetes.
chime in here?
Sure, of course.
All right, I'm a diabetic, so I have to say, to some degree, it is by choice.
It's that ounce
It
of
is
truth.
by choice, but you will find people who are legitimately going to have trouble, to where they're passing out while driving their car because they do eat right, and their body will betray them. Well, it's not really that. The rate at which my body will process glucose in my system is effing random.
Right.
It's random. I asked my doctor, my primary doctor for diabetes care, can I take my pill 30 minutes before I eat? This pill will reduce my blood sugar.
Right.
So let's just say 60 is a healthy number, because it's about as low as you should go. Okay, so 60 is a healthy number. My blood sugar is usually between, like when I wake up, in the high 90s.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be lower. If I know I'm not going to have a meal for an hour, I explained it, can I go ahead and take my pill, which will what? It'll drop my blood sugar level down. In about an hour or two, it comes down 50 points, okay? Sometimes it comes down to 50 points in 1 hour. Sometimes it takes 2. Sometimes it takes even longer. But she said no, because there is no way to gauge what my body will do. I may very well drop, when I take the pill, I could drop 50 points even faster than that. And if I'm in my car and I don't have candy, I live in the desert. So if I'm driving along, there's nothing in my car that will bring my blood sugar back up, I risk it going so low that I can't properly drive my car. I risk it going so low that
Wow. Yeah. Like real consequences.
Right. So if Herschel Walker doesn't know that,
but that's Republicanism 101. I don't have diabetes, but I have been in the fitness industry for over a quarter of a century.
Mm-hmm.
What the words that are getting ready to leave my mouth are 100% true, but I got to sit for this one. And that is, eat less, exercise more, you will be fit. You can't debate what I just said. That is 5,000% spot on correct. Now, if I just leave it at that basic level, I'm right. And anyone who does not follow that advice, you're just a lazy asshole. But when you realize there are so many more pages to turn in this book called Fitness, that if all you say is, well, why don't you just work out more? Why don't you just lose the weight? So my point is to sit, it's kind of like what Greg Abbott said when he said there will be no exceptions in the state of Texas for abortion, not even rape or incest. And his solution was, well, I'm just going to stop all rape. And I was like, okay. And when you wake up from fantasy land and you're ready to join the actual conversation, then we can talk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Saying that we can solve diabetes or just eat right, just eat properly. There are so many factors.
Mm-hmm.
One of them being financial.
Yes.
If you've got all the money in the world and you never have to look into your bank account to see, what am I going to do? Put gas in my car or pay my utility bill that month? Buying food that is fresh, organic, there's so many factors. And so for a man that's worth millions, whose body is a genetic gift from Zeus, for him just to say, well, the price of insulin wouldn't be an issue if you would just eat right, he is ignoring chapters upon chapters upon chapters of shit that he should have read before he opened up his mouth. I've got a real issue with that. I mean,
yeah.
That's, again,
I want to bring to light. I want to elaborate a little more on what you said. So earlier today, my mother called me, and she was asking if I could send her some money so she could pay her light bill. She was wondering, like, I don't know how much it's going to be. I've sent my mother money for insulin test strips. In fact, the last time I saw her, I gave her almost 400 of them. Now, if you're aware of what that costs, she can't afford it. I can.
Okay.
So I gave her a bunch. I'm like, you let me know the moment you need more. Okay. So here my mother is trying to make that decision that you just were referring to. My mother's 85 years old. She doesn't have the income to support all that. She has some sort of like Medicaid or something like that.
Right.
But that doesn't mean she doesn't have needs. That doesn't mean that her needs don't still need to be met. And I explained to my mother, I said, what else do you need? And she's reluctant to say. She's from that generation, right?
Right.
You take care of yourself and your family. Well, and now her family is saying to her, what do you need? Tell us. Don't go without something you need. So, okay. So I sent her some money. Do you need groceries? Well, I'll get them when I get my check. I said, do you need groceries? Do you need them now? There are people who don't fit my mother's example fully. There are people who don't have someone to say, tell me what you need. I got Publix. I got Amazon. I can have that stuff at your door either today or within 2 days.
Yes.
Tell me what you need.
Yes.
I would be willing to bet there are millions of people who don't have someone to do that.
We to the credit. I don't know, Carrie Ann, you still here? You know, that's something we've tried to do in this community is help each other out. I have to. Okay, all right. You can stay on mute. I understand. Appreciate you. But that's something. When I talk to my colleagues about what we've been able to achieve in this community, it's things like raising money for charity, and helping each other when in need. You know, like you've helped me and stuff like that. That I take the most pride in. And then we've sort of attracted people who are into that, like James and Carrie Ann in particular, you know, is always coming up with, you know, more charitable things we could do, charity streams and more ways to help people in the community. Matter of fact, that's actually part of what I realized even with gaming. Like part of the thing I like about gaming is that they give us the games that we play together. It's better to play them if we're already Steam friends or friends on Facebook. And so it gives us more reason to connect with each other. And then if we do something like, we have this thing I'm working on called the Cash Room. Basically, the idea is like the same way you might get together with friends and play a game of poker. Like, you know, PineCreek does his poker night, right? And PineCreek's poker night is a cash game, right? They play cash online, and Tux plays, a bunch of them play. Well, part of what I realized that does is even if, let's say, me and Gin and Truth play a dice game online for cash, and we say, the winner sends the loser $5 tonight. All right, cool. Let's do it. Well, now I already have his PayPal or his Cash App, right? And so when he hits me up and he says, oh, shit, Jay, I just fell on hard times and, you know, I don't know how I'm going to pay this damn heat bill this month. I go, oh, no worries, bro. And I send him the $100, right? And if I need to, I can go to everybody else and say, hey, look, I'm on hard times myself, but someone needs help. And so it's easy now because we don't have to do something like say, hey, everybody, Gin and Truth is having trouble paying his light bill this month. Let's set up a GoFundMe for him, right? Right? It's like we've already got that connection made, and now we all have private ways to reach out to each other, so we could be discreet as shit, just like a church would be, right? And then the church just does what? Somebody hands you an envelope on Sunday morning discreetly before you leave. No shame, no game, no name dropping, none of that involved. And so, yeah, I really noticed that even something as simple as playing tic-tac-toe together on Facebook kind of builds that bridge that we can later use to support each other a little bit more efficiently. Let me borrow a little bit more of this clip because we're going to go till 6. I guess.
Have this issue since they were kids. It has nothing to do with eating right.
No, you're wrong. You're wrong. Wait. You are wrong
issue?
here. You're wrong here. Let's get it straight. I said, lower insulin ain't going to help. Let me tell you the reason why. My mom is on insulin. If you don't eat right, insulin not going to do anything for you.
No doubt
That's exactly what I said. You got to lower the price of food as well. Yeah. Just saying on lowering insulin doesn't do it. You got to lower insulin. You got to lower food.
And he was an elite athlete, right? So he'll get a lot of credibility on that type of
just
discussion.
Because you want to get a vote, or don't say things that you don't understand. I understand this because I know people that's on insulin.
You don't understand.
They can take insulin, but if they're not eating right, it's even worse for them. And that's what I said. Just because you're doing insulin, lower the food costs as well.
So you stand by those statements?
Oh, I do stand by
those statements. But why are we even talking about this?
If you're taking insulin, you still got to eat the proper diet, or otherwise it's not going to do you any good.
I thought he was running for senator in Georgia.
You have it may be an issue that you have from birth, and therefore you would.
You still have to eat right. You still have to eat right. It doesn't matter. And I think that's one of the things you knew, because I have looked into it, and I have people that is on insulin, and they have had it from birth. Some of them do have it, but they still have to eat a right diet.
You have said you are opposed to the Inflation Reduction Act, which would lower the cost of insulin by $35 a month. What would you do, given that you're opposed to that, to lower those prices?
Exactly. Like, first off, who cares? People need to eat right. Great. Did you think that's adding something to the conversation? Number two.
I'm sorry. I wish my camera was working. I'm gonna go to the hotel mini fridge, and I'm gonna open it up, and I'm gonna look and tell you how much my insulin costs. Okay?
All right. You can also, I think, maybe just Are you doing this through the browser
and app? Into my settings and stuff. I have two computers. My one that I normally use for this broadcast, I didn't bring the power cable. The one I ordered.
Oh, no worries. I was just saying, sometimes you just need to refresh your browser. That's it. If that didn't work, and then a lot of times there's a little button on the top of the browser. It looks like a little lock a lot of times. If you click on that, a lot of times that controls your permissions, and then you can actually turn on permission for your camera there if what you're getting is like a notice. The other thing is, if you're still logged in through that other computer, you probably want to make sure you close that out, because sometimes it's just a different browser iteration or something is holding up the camera still.
Pocket Locker, what you may not have known is this camera wasn't working on this computer before.
Oh, I see. You switched computers, and so you've already had this. I see. No worries.
And you've given me some useful ideas, but I already went into the browser and Chrome and reset everything for this camera.
I got you.
And for Gather, and I had no luck.
Got you.
Give me a second.
No worries.
I'm going to grab my. Oh man, I could really tell it to you about prescription meds.
Oh yeah. We'll look to hear about that. All right, here we go.
It's for insulin and other prescription drugs.
Well, the way you lower the price is lower the inflation. Just what I was just saying. Lower all the costs of everything.
But aren't you against lowering the
cost of medicine? Make it a competitive market. Just saying I'm just going to lower insulin. You got to lower a lot of everything. Lower inflation itself. And the way you do that is don't. Well, let's just get to this Inflation Reduction Act.
All right, guys. A lot of you may not have seen, but we reviewed a video called the Alt-Right Playbook, and this is another tactic of theirs, which is they pretend to be on our side about key issues, but then they don't accept any proposals. And it's I want to end racism, but this is not the right way to do it. I want to end economic inequities, but this is not the way to do it. And this is the thing too. Okay, so you're against the act that we're trying to pass to reduce inflation. Yeah. Well, what's the key to what's going on here? Oh, well, no, we need to lower inflation across the board. But wait, you're not right. So it's I totally don't deny that inflation's a big, huge problem. It's just this particular anti-inflation measure is not the right way to go. But when they do this to every single proposal, again, it's just right out of the playbook. Go ahead, my one black friend.
Okay, so I take a medication called Synjardy. I get 180 tablets. I pay $65. The retail price is $2,016.99. I have insurance. It's $2,016.99. Okay?
Unbelievable.
Synjardy does what insulin does. If you can think of glucose in your bloodstream.
I'm sorry. I'm
dots.
still trying to forget that you said the word 1,000. But go ahead.
Yeah, 2,000. Okay.
Go ahead. Did he drop out? Weird. All right, here we go.
They were having a party.
I'm back.
Inflation reduction.
He's back. All right, great.
Okay. So I bought some insulin. I got 3 12-unit Novolog pens. This is insulin. So let me tell you how I use this.
Sure.
If I'm going to Cameron's birthday party, I can't have any cake because he'll get on my case about that. But if I go to yours Pocket Locker and I have a slice of cake, I probably should bring this insulin with me. Why? Because it'll help me bring my blood sugar down so it doesn't go over 200.
I see.
It'll keep it in a sane level.
Right.
So I only take this insulin for situations where I know I'm going to eat something like a cheesecake, slice, or something like that to bring my sugar back down. Because again, I want to stay in between 60 and say 150.
Okay.
150 should be the ceiling.
Okay.
So 30 milliliters. That says 30. No, it's 3 12-unit. 3 30 milliliter pen. No, it's 30 milliliters total. Okay. The price is $1,239.99.
Unbelievable.
$1,239. So Pocket Locker, on this contract, I contracted to work with these people for less than I normally make.
Right.
I'm okay. I'm doing okay. I'm still doing okay. But I have insurance that helps me afford the $65 that I have to pay. My mother doesn't have the $65.
Got you.
Right?
Right.
I told her anything she needs, she doesn't have to have it. She can get it from me. I'll send it to her post haste.
Right.
But again, what Herschel Walker is having a difficult time understanding, what people who take Herschel Walker's position are having a difficult time understanding is they know people with these problems. They know people who don't have a ready solution that has someone that backs them up or will catch them if they fall. They know people like that.
Right.
And they're ignoring their needs publicly. They might personally help each one of those people they know, but the public face is no. Let them take care of themselves.
Punk is acknowledging that they the guy who invented insulin sold the patent for $1 so it wouldn't be gatekept by the wealthy, so it would be available for everyone. So, but they don't care,
Well, look, I sat down one day when I was in New York State, not New York City, and I started to brainstorm how I could revise the national healthcare system. And I got a certain number of ideas, and then I started quizzing people or polling people that I worked with. And I was saying, okay, would this work for you? And I would describe what we have, what I had in my plan. And every time I heard no, I would ask why. Right. Because the idea wasn't about excluding groups of people that should be protected. It was about protecting people that need it. In that plan, catastrophic healthcare was covered. If you came down with cancer, it wouldn't matter if you were 2 or 82. Your insurance company wouldn't have to pay for it. It goes part of the national healthcare plan, right? There's a stopgap in place for outrageously high medical care. You go to a government facility for treatment. You don't go to the local hospital. You go to one of ours. Or we have contracted rates like insurance companies do with those institutions. We don't pay $1,700 to scan your lungs, right, which takes about 6 minutes, right? We don't pay $1,700 for that. When I got hospitalized, I think I said this before, in August, $119,000 for 4 effing days.
Wow.
So,
wow.
I think there's some, and I got excellent care, but nobody cared that much for $119K.
Seriously, I mean that's
nobody
crazy.
cares that much.
I mean that is financially. It should not be financially devastating to need what we all know we will need, which is medical attention. I mean, there's not a single person that this is going to end well for, right? So it's criminal that it's that way.
Dead, you don't have to pay.
All right, so I live in this house by myself, so I got to do all the work. But I got it. That's what bothers me. We brag about being the biggest and the best, the strongest and the richest. But people in this country die or they struggle with shit that it's like, why do you have to look into your checking account to see whether you can take your next breath or not?
Right.
And I think I've told you, at least, Bundy, I can't remember, but it's the reason why it is I don't go into my pharmacy anymore. Drive through or nothing. First and foremost, I've got great insurance. And even with savings, it would break me to stay alive just on my mental health meds.
Yeah.
But I went in once, and I still remember, because at the end of this story, everyone in line, we were doing this. There was a lady at the counter getting her diabetes medication. There was a glitch in insurance or something fucked up. And the pharmacist had to come and take over for the tech. And was like, you can't leave without this one today. Okay. She probably left about $600 worth of meds on the table while the pharmacist was basically telling her, this is how you live the next 72 hours or so until this. And it's like,
the emergency holdover, whatever.
Yeah,
I cannot tell you how many of those I've actually had to get. Yeah,
and it's absurd. It's just like, we can build the biggest fucking bombs of anyone on the planet. There are warplanes that no other country. Yeah, and you're just like, we're the biggest, the baddest, the richest.
Yeah.
But we've got people sitting at a counter trying to figure out, can I live another 48 hours?
Right.
And no one should die. No one should die of fucking diabetes in this country. I don't know if you guys realize this, but I'm black and I'm from the South. And I'm one of the few people in my family that doesn't have to check their sugars before we eat. And so it's this disease, it's devastating, but it's manageable.
Right.
And didn't we just strike down, or was it Texas that struck it down, but to cap the price of insulin? And it's for one reason only. The people who make insulin, they need a new yacht. They want to buy another horse that's going to run in the Kentucky Derby. And it's like, this is not a conversation that a Christian nation that's pro-life should be having.
Jesus had free healthcare.
Well, yeah, and it's like, okay, that life that's floating in amniotic fluid, that's got no name, no fingerprints, no nothing that you can recognize.
Right.
There's someone right across the street right now who should be taking, let's say, 10 mLs of insulin, but took 5 because she needs to stretch it till tomorrow. Well, that's not how the shit works.
Right.
And she's going to die in the richest, most phenomenal moment.
Right.
And that pisses me off.
Me too.
No one should die of diabetes in this country.
Yeah.
Right. This is bullshit.
Yeah. So I want to wrap it so I can get to my meeting on time. Before I do, I want to definitely say, I've been talking to you about trying to do more stuff and gather. I definitely want to. We're gonna. We're there around the clock usually and having a good time. But definitely on Sunday nights, we're gonna watch Sunday Night Football. So you're definitely welcome to come through, hang out, and drink and kind of do it like a weekly after party or something. So what time? I think kickoff's at 8:20 my time, 7:20 your time.
7:15 my time. I'm finishing up everyone's dinner. So, yeah, that's 2 hours.
Yeah, it's like 2 hours. Yeah. You want to come through and do it?
I should be good to go.
Yeah, let's do it. We'll watch the game. So same link. We'll just watch the game in here. My one black friend. Everybody else is welcome to come through if you like. And then if you are, man, let me run down the channels, man. So if you're watching from my one black friend or Hot Program or Pocket Locker 86, man, appreciate you. Thank you guys so much. But you got to subscribe to Gin and Truth. We're super excited. We're streaming on everybody's channels. So, Gin and Truth is doing a show every day. It's probably like the best show on the internet. So you're definitely missing it. So go subscribe. Turn on notifications, leave comments, do all the YouTube things. Please. Also follow him, Robert RC Reed 40 on Twitter, right?
That's me. Yeah.
And then my one black friend and I host Hot Program every Sunday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. So if you're watching from Gin and Truth or Robert Reed, we appreciate you checking us out, and definitely go ahead and subscribe to Hot Program and my one black friend's YouTube channel. And what's your handle on Twitter, my one black friend?
I have no idea. It's like my and then the number one, not spelled out, black friend. Hold on. I'll go to Twitter and I'll look and see what it says.
All right. I got you also through the restream. I think it shows me, let's see. It's we didn't go live on it today. It's my one black friend. I think I did and then turned it off. But yeah, it's my one black friend on. Wait,
I'm typing it.
Yeah. Okay, they're gonna put it in there. Oh, that's the destinations. No, we are live on it. Sorry, my bad. It's
there's an underscore after it.
Yes. So we've got that, and we've. All right, cool. So that's great. And then I'm Pocket Locker 86. Oh, I see, my one friend. We're on your YouTube channel and we're on Hot Program's YouTube channel. Got it. And then you've got your Twitter. You can drop that off. And then I'm Pocket Locker 86 on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And then I'll give everybody a chance to give their closing thoughts. Starting from the beginning, I just think, y'all know me, I'm actually sick of Otangelo. I think I'm ready to just drop super kick Otangelo. I went from thinking he might be a good faith actor to totally convinced that he's just sitting on some bullshit and he's more or less an antagonistic troll, and should be treated as such, but we're going to need some opponents to beat down for our events. And I mostly think... the thing we saw with people turning on Trump is very useful. I think we need to follow the same playbook with Christianity. And I think Herschel Walker is ridiculous, but I'd pay attention to him because I think he's dangerous. And I think Reverend Warnock could be in a lot of trouble on name alone. And then I guess I'll kick it over to Gin and Truth, and then we'll let my one black friend close us out.
In terms of Otangelo, I agree and disagree with what you said.
Cool. You want some more? Let us know.
Well,
we love
I
that.
100% agree that he just sounds like, a set of slap nuts. He's just going to say the same bullshit. But to ignore him is to ignore the fact that he sounds just like every pastor, every other Christian.
This is true.
And so it's like, it's not taking down Otangelo, it's taking down all of them that say the same shit.
Sure.
Just like the atheist experience guy. He was a total troll, an actor, but he repeated what some of the biggest pastors in Austin had to say. On Trump, fuck him. And again, I totally understand people being caught up in the hype.
Right, 6 years ago.
Yeah,
right.
I get it. I get it. But now, again, how many times must you see someone do some fucked up ass shit before you're willing to say that person has a problem?
Right.
Right. And so I've said it in all my shows previous, and I'm going to say it now. Again, what have people been looking at?
For the past,
he didn't
all these
just
years.
start. Yeah, this guy has been an ass. He's been a tumor
On democracy.
on society since forever. And so we need all the help we can get. We definitely need everybody to vote at minimum anti-Trumpism.
Exactly.
But again, it's like, what have people been looking at? Because he's been the same person since day one. And on Herschel, he scares me.
Right.
It's like O.J. Simpson. O.J. Simpson on a Monday said, I'm going to release a Twitter page. Before Tuesday noon, he had over 500,000 followers. He had women wanting to date him.
Right.
And I'm like, which part of O.J. Simpson says
sexy vibrant?
The only thing when I got his handle, I got on Twitter and I immediately blocked him. It's like, why do I want to hear anything that this asshole has to say? That to me is Herschel Walker. Which part of Herschel Walker says vote for me?
Right.
Nothing. And the fucked up thing is, like, wasn't it Dana Lash? All kinds of pro-life this, pro-life that. And she straight up said, I don't give a shit if you paid for an abortion. That seat needs to be read.
Exactly.
They're not even trying to hide what their agenda is. It's like, okay, this person here is a rancid alcoholic. They've gotten 5 felony DWIs. They cheat on their spouse. They kick dogs. They're fucked up. But do they support Trump? Why, yes, they do. Good enough for me.
Exactly.
They aren't even close to lying
Right.
about who they are and what they want to do.
Right.
Herschel Walker is a part of that plan. And the fact that he is a serious topic of political conversation scares me.
Yes.
And it should scare y'all.
Yeah, perfect. My one black friend, go ahead. Close this out.
At the risk of being mean, listening to Herschel Walker speak does remind me a bit of Jodie Foster as Nell, which is a very interesting movie. I do encourage you all to just try to view a YouTube clip of it. Again, the thing I want you all to be aware of, the question you must ask when reviewing his remarks, is this man a person who comes to the table with rock solid ideas that will advance the nation? Or is he simply just smart enough to do what he's told by people who are telling him these are the best decisions that can be made in regarding this topic, and we need you to vote with everybody else? We've seen since Trump came to office, the Republican Party essentially vote as a unit.
Right.
Objectivity out the door. It's all, I keep saying this, it's almost as if somebody is telling all of them what to do, and they do it. And they do it.
Yep.
A very small room full of people who don't even show up in the same room. It's almost like that. But yeah, these people are sticking to literally their guns.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
These ideas aren't the best ideas. Not all of them are. They may have some really great ideas. Trump was trying to get it so these drug companies couldn't charge more for medication in the United States than they charge for it somewhere else. For example, Canada or Beirut. You're going to pay we're not going to pay more than you charge them over there. Well, I don't think that my $2,000 prescription of Synjardy made it to that list. It's a phenomenal medication. This stuff, I told my doctor, this stuff is the real deal. $2,000 for a 3-month supply.
Unbelievable.
Insulin, $1,200.
Jesus.
$1,200. I got the money. If I didn't have insurance, I could still afford this.
Right.
But I am the exception to the rule. I'm not the rule.
Absolutely.
Most people cannot begin to afford this because it comes down to, like my mom, I need to pay my electric bill. I also need groceries. And my brothers and my sister have all told her, you can ask us, tell us what you want, and we'll give it to you. And stop worrying about what it costs. Because my mom has always had modest needs.
Right. That's crazy.
I'll say it again. There are people who don't have that safety.
Don't have it. And I say the same thing about the education I got on a scholarship, and I'm sure Uncle Bobby feels the same way about the education he got.
Absolutely.
Not everybody's built and trained to be a quarterback killer, so appreciate everybody. Also, Punk said you got to change your Twitter avatar, Uncle Bobby. Go ahead, my friend. Yeah, you're good.
I'm sure many of us have been in the situation in the pharmacy line or somewhere else where someone doesn't have the ability to cover their needs. If you can help, do it. I was in a CVS and a woman needed like $300 because there was as Uncle Bobby described, there was an issue with her insurance.
Yep.
And compassion is not lost on me. It's something I hope I always have. I'd love for people to be independent and manage their own lives very well. But I know, like with my weight, I struggle with that.
That's right.
There are aspects of my life, there's no struggle at all. So when she said there was a problem and she couldn't pay, she was going to walk away from that register without a medication. I said, how much is it? And the guy said, it's $300. I says, I'll pay it. And the woman looked me in the eye with anger and said, I'm leaving. Don't give me nothing. And she walked out and says, Miss, I'll cover it. I don't want you to cover it. And she left.
Yeah. And I mean, and so, she had the right to feel that way, but that's tough.
I'll agree.
Yeah.
I'll agree. But there are people who would just be so thankful.
So happy. Yeah.
If you gave them a meal, a bottle of water, a banana, and they're out there on the corner begging for money in the median strip or something like that, Yeah.
Believe it or not, that was one of my old tricks at a small nightclubs. Is if I went to a small nightclub, I'd stop at a CVS or something on the way in, literally grab a ice cold bottle of water and hand it to the bouncer on the way in. They will treat you like a fucking rock star.
I was a bouncer. I got all the free water I want.
Yeah, just because. Right. And you appreciated the people who thought enough to think about it, right?
Well, we had it as part of our.
Oh, you could just walk up to the bar and get one. Of course, yeah, you could. Yeah. I would realize this later, but a lot of them just appreciated the fucking gesture, right? Yeah.
It is a nice gesture.
Yeah, exactly. Nice. But appreciate everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Name of Darwin Dawkins, Christopher Hitchens, Science bless